What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I have a question from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. That being said, if you're new to this YouTube channel, welcome. You came to the right place for some free DFS content. Please subscribe, hit notifications bell, don't miss out on any of the free content we put out, which we do Monday through Friday. NBA's winding down. This is the last week for our pre-lock NBA Wise streams that we do at WiseTake.com. We'll be hopping in the Slack prior to lock to help our members out going forward, but we will continue with the MLB DFS stream. Starting next week, we'll be doing the night before, give everybody some time to watch, and really try to make the show something a little special. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, without further ado, we've got ourselves a massive slate to get into. So I expect this show to be a little longer than normal, and I'm not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna get the fuck up into this. So starting with Jacob DeGrom. So couple things looking at it. We do have cores on the slate. That being said, we could see increased ownership there. I don't think it'll be as high as it is on a normal slate because there's 14 games, so naturally there's just more options, which is going to pull some away. But what that means is you're going to get a lot of really low owned plays, so it's just something to be mindful of as we go through this. Another thing, so when it comes to pitching, guys, like there's a lot of aces today. DeGrom, Kershaw, Glasnow, Darvish, even Sonny Gray. I would consider to be ace caliber for the most part. Maybe not as deserving of a increased price tag as some of the other guys, but needless to say, I think that there's a lot of options up top. So we want to be mindful of that going forward. I think that what most people will try to do, like I think in terms of cash games, is get one of these aces, find a guy that could save the most money with, and then load up on cores. And that could change depending on the value that opens up throughout the day as we get lineups. So we want to keep that shit in mind, right? Starting off with Mr. Jacob DeGrom, best pitcher in baseball, IMO. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a Met fan, so I'm a little biased with DeGrom, but I think Shane Bieber is phenomenal as well. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think DeGrom is the best pitcher in baseball, and one of the highest or the highest strikeout rate on the slate. This is data from last season, so obviously we'll bleed that into this year shortly once we get more of a sample. But playing a Washington team that can be tough to strike out, but we've seen them strike out plenty, right, against elite pitching. I like DeGrom. I'm going to have a lot of DeGrom. Maybe on a small slate, DeGrom would be 60-70% on DraftKings. Maybe today on a larger slate, maybe he's like 30, and that's considered chalk. But I'm definitely going to play a good amount of DeGrom. That's just, what else is there to say, right? He's the top option on the slate. He's who you start your cash games with on either site. And then, in tournaments, for me, a lot of the teams, he's going to be that person as well. Clayton Kershaw looks great, man. He looked great since last season. He's really kind of turned things around. Looks more like the vintage Kershaw that we know. He does have a tough matchup against the Padres. Like you can see last year, 341 WAR, but 209 ISO for this team. Fairly low strikeout rate. I think Kershaw's capable of getting these guys to swing and miss, but his hands will be a little bit more full. I think I'd rather take a shot on Mr. Tyler Glasnow, who's at home in one of the better pitching parks in the game down at Tampa, indoors, dome style. You know what I mean? Against a Toronto team that could also be tough to strike out from time to time. I typically think I think they strike out a little bit more to lefties, but they are young and free swinging. And you can see Glasnow 38.2% strikeout rate, comparable to DeGrom, the only one who's in the vicinity, right? So I do think that Glasnow is probably my second favorite ace from a tournament perspective. From a cash game perspective, you tend to lean more towards guys that are more established, but I think Glasnow is like coming up that list, right? I think he's coming up that list, so I do like him. Darvish, I think, will be extremely low owned. People don't want to pick on the Dodgers, and for good reason, right? When you have other options, maybe on a smaller slate to get some ownership. But on a big-ass slate like this, you just don't see it as much. The ownership, I mean, obviously. do the dirty right quick. But yeah, I think that's really all I could argue with Darvish is the ownership. I think it'll be low. Now, we did see that kid, I forgot his name, last night, just mow the Dodgers down. He looked good. So I think there's something to be said. But even like today, I think I got like 300-something teams I'm rolling on DraftKings. I still can't say how many teams that I'll have on Darvish. I'm going to be prioritizing DeGrom and Glass now, and maybe even a little bit of Kershaw. So, it's a tough decision. Sonny Gray looks a whole lot better since leaving the Yankees, man. He's struggling over there. Going to be playing in St. Louis. Grades out as one of the better pitching parks in the game for us dimensionally. Obviously, this, from time to time when the weather heats up, they do have to deal with heat, humidity, which can sometimes skew the park. But for the most part, I think that, we're ready to rock and roll. Speaking of which, I don't think I've really looked at the weather much today. Normally, I take a little peek. Let's take a little peek and see what we got going on here. Really not much. Really not much going on there. We'll keep it rolling. So long story short, I think Sonny Gray is an option. More so on FanDuel at 8,100. You're saving a significant amount of money on FanDuel to take that chance. On DraftKings at 9,300, I don't know. Like, are you saving enough to make that move? Right. The Cardinals can be pretty stubborn from time to time. Right. But I think Gray is good, and this is a park boost for him. Jordan Montgomery against the Indians. I still don't really know what to make of Montgomery, man. Like, I really don't. I think on DraftKings, his price is kind of out of control. On the flip side, I think the Indians' offense is not great. I mean, they're not very good when you look at them. However, they can still be stingy with strikeouts. I mean, maybe not if your name is Lucas Giolito, but they can be stingy from time to time with strikeouts. But their ISO numbers are so bad. Their actual metrics are just terrible. Jordan Montgomery. Just going back to last season, we saw a 24% K rate. He had a 13.1% swing and strike rate. So when I say I don't really know what to make of him, it's the truth. I think he's another one that is a FanDuel only for me at 7,500. If you're sacrificing a lot of ceiling to do something like that, but you're saving a lot of money to do so. So if you really want to spend up for some bats that you like, you're getting a trade-off. On DraftKings, what trade-off am I really getting? I just don't think I'm getting a ton. Paying 9.2 for an SP2 that hasn't really proven to me that he's of that value. You know what I mean? But I don't know what to make of him, man. I think, what start was it? There was a recent start where I was pretty high on him. And granted, he was fairly popular. I didn't expect him to be that popular. Okay, against Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay. Gave up 2 homers, only had 4 Ks. Played him again at home, 7 Ks in 6 innings. What the fuck was that? Against Baltimore, 7 Ks in 6 innings. What the fuck was that? So he's capable. But, at that price on DraftKings, I don't think so. Steven Matz last year was horrendous. This year he's looked really good. Now, let's do some investigating. 8,900 on DraftKings. So far, these are his scores he's put up. 31, 18, 23. Now, his opponents, the Rangers in Arlington, the Angels. That was a tough one, and that was at home in that small Toronto park. 4 Ks, 6 innings, 10 ground balls, 4 fly balls. That's really been a big thing for him, his ground ball to fly ball ratio. Against Kansas City, 6 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. 1 earned run, 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 for 23. It's solid stuff, and he's playing a Tampa Bay Rays team that can strike out with the best of them. However, I want to look into the fine print a little bit of this season. Small samples to work with, so a lot of time there's no point in looking at a sample this small, but I do want to see, I do want to delve in a little bit, because the Rays could be tough against lefties, man. This is a team that did go to the World Series last year, right? They could be tough. Randy Arozarena, Yandy Diaz, but they're not particularly playing that well right now at the end of the day. And the strikeout rates is still there. Is he cheap enough on DraftKings to quantify SPT usage? I think he's around that area. On FanDuel, it's more difficult to get to him. On FanDuel, you feel like, are you saving enough for him? Now, from DeGrom, you are. But, I mean, you got Darvish at 10-2, Glass now 11-2. Are you saving enough there to make that transition, especially on a site like FanDuel where the pricing of the hitters is typically a little more soft? But I think Matz is in play against the Rays. Rays strike out a lot. You see it, they did last year, too. One of the highest on the slate. And it's a big ass slate. Zach Reinke, I think he's coming off a really good game. Or maybe he's had one start since then. Was it Seattle? Yeah, okay. Seattle, 8 innings, 6 Ks, 10 ground balls, 6 fly balls, only gave up 4 hits, went for 31. You kind of get the feeling that Reinke's due to get hit around a little bit there, right? Not a lot of strikeouts against Seattle. Sounds like BABIP had a lot to do with it. And I don't mean to downplay Reinke. I think at one time he was a phenomenal pitcher. And I think he's still a pretty solid pitcher, but he's not necessarily a strikeout pitcher anymore. The thing that's interesting about Reinke is if you look at his numbers from last year into this year, he's actually has some pretty strong reverse splits in pretty much every category. WOBA 236 to lefties, 336 to righties. ISO .068 to lefties, 233 to righties. Strikeout rate 25.9 to lefties, 18.6 to righties. Hard contact rate 31.8 to lefties, 39% to righties. So kind of makes you interested in guys like Mike Trout, Upton, some of these players that have been a little bit more hot. Even Pujols, I think, went deep yesterday. So just food for thought. I don't think I'm that interested in pitching Reinke coming off that kind of game. And honestly, he just doesn't have the strikeout upside that he's had every year. His strikeout upside seems to go a little lower and lower. So I think the price is reasonable on DraftKings at 8.7 considering how he's looked recently. But I don't think I go there too much. Logan Allen, this is another one, man. Troll City. Just straight Troll City. He's playing the Yankees, one of the coldest offenses in the game. Yankees have been a very big disappointment to Yankee fans. I feel you, but, I'm a Met fan, so I don't really feel that bad. Shit happens to me all the fucking time. Logan Allen, though. What do we make of Logan Allen? So when I look at his numbers, I see a guy that just doesn't look good at baseball, right? His first start of the season, he had 3 Ks against Kansas City, gave up a home run, 2 earned runs, whatever. Played Detroit, a team that can be pretty tough on lefties. 5 innings, 1 earned run, 2 hits, 5 Ks. Made me look like an idiot. Then he played Cincinnati, and what I figured would happen to him happened to him, right? 2 innings, 4 earned runs, only 2 Ks. He was pulled in 55 pitches. Now he's playing a Yankee team that historically, when you look at these hitters, DJ LeMahieu, Stanton, Judge, even Urshela, Glaber, Gary Sanchez. This is a team that should crush lefties. Now, they didn't do very well against lefties last year, which is weird. The Yankees have always played better at home. It's understandable. This game's in Cleveland. But, I mean, you got to think if the Yankees are going to wake up, like this is a good pitcher to do it against. A guy that has had a 14% strikeout rate last year. All right? That had an xFIP almost double his ERA. Right? Just I don't know. It just makes sense to me. Looking at Logan Allen's numbers this year, they look a little bit better. His ground ball rates have looked good. But he still has a 4.73 xFIP on the few starts he's had this year. An 8.2% swing and strike rate. The problem is the Yankees have been so cold. So I lean towards Yankees offense, no diggity doubt. Just how much? That's the question on a big slate. JT Brubaker against the 2020 Twins. Let's take a look at this. Brubaker's looked good this season. I know that. I know he's looked pretty good this season. Let's see. 23.4% K rate. Playing a Minnesota team that honestly that struck out a lot last year. I mean, this projected lineup struck out a ton last year. He's on the table. I mean, I think he's coming off a pretty good game too, right? Let me just check. JT Brubaker. Yeah, coming off a really good... I mean, he's really had a pretty good season. Cincinnati was his first game. That was in Cincinnati, a tough place to play. 4 innings, 6 Ks, did have 4 walks, only 1 earned run. Played the Cubs. He was at home. 1 home run, 1 earned run. 4 Ks, 5 and a third. Against Milwaukee, now they do strike out a lot. 8 strikeouts, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits. Right. I think this is an interesting spot for him. Do I think he's a phenomenal, outstanding pitcher at the moment? No. But I think at his price and the relative upside that he's got and how good he's looked and even the matchup. I mean, like the Twins put up, I think, some serious runs in that series against the A's. But they do strike out a lot. I mean, you looking at this projected lineup currently is a 27.7 average strikeout rate against right-handed pitching looking at last season. Now, Listen, full disclosure. They also have a 240 ISO and a 345 WOBA. So this is no walk in the park. We prioritize strikeouts, but this is definitely one of those situations that the more of one side you have, the more of the other side you're going to want to have. So just keep that in mind, right? Like if you go like 20% Brubaker, you might want 15% Minnesota Twin stacks because that can go south. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those situations. But as far as like looking for that cheaper SP2, I think he's at least on the table. That being said, so are the Twins. So is the Twin stack. We'll keep that in mind. Luke Weaver against Atlanta. Trying not to drool. I'm not a Luke Weaver guy. I'm just not somebody that's ever really thought he was any good. He's in Atlanta, playing Atlanta, one of the best offenses in the game. Atlanta, again, another team that their strikeouts definitely rose. Like you feel like somebody in the Braves organization just said, you know what, man, it's great that we get all these base hits, but we need to start swinging hard. And that seems like what Atlanta's been doing since last year. They're just swinging for the fences. It's leading to higher strikeouts, but it's also leading to increased power numbers. It's just my guesstimation. Luke Weaver is a big fly ball guy. As you can see last year, 48% fly ball rate, 40% hard contact rate. I'm curious to see what the actual weather projected is in Atlanta. We know that it typically warms 66 degrees, so it's not that warm, but a good day for baseball indeed. How do you not like the Braves offense? I mean, you got to love the Braves offense in this particular situation. Last year, Weaver did struggle with lefties a little bit more, but he really gave it up to both sides. The problem is Acuna supposed to be back, especially Acuna's questionable. He could be back. He's 6'3". Oh, man, the Braves are expensive, man. Damn. Acuna's 6'3". Freddie Freeman 6'2". Ozuna 5'2". Like, Albie's 5'1". They're not an easy team to stack and get the pitching that you may want. But the Braves are looking like a top offense for sure. For sure against Weaver. You know what I'm saying. I'm not a big guy, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can and look at the numbers, and it's not pretty. I want to see what he's done. What has he done? 7,500 on DraftKings. I mean, he's had a couple good games. One against Miami that was really good. The strikeouts have been there. He's been doing a good job getting strikeouts. 5 innings against Washington, 5 Ks, not bad. 10 Ks against Miami, 6 innings. And these are teams that aren't always easy for British strikeout. 4 innings against the Cubs, 5 Ks. He did get dollywop. Gave up 3 home runs and 6 earned runs. But his strikeouts appear to be up this season. Now, he's playing a D-backs team that, unless your name is Tyler Mahle, can be tough to strike out. But honestly, Noah's looked really good this season. Now, we saw that case. So did Cobb, right? Cobbler has looked really good. And yesterday, didn't look so great. So maybe we're in that type of situation with Yanoa, who does have a 250 BABIP. But right now, Arizona just hasn't looked good, right? Especially against righties. They just haven't looked good. So I think, I don't know, maybe we have to pay some attention to this kid here, man. It's not hot and humid out there. Like I said, the strikeout rate's up, 13.6% swinging strike rate so far this season. The strikeout numbers have been really strong. So, I'm glad I took the cap back and went into him. Let me see what his pedigree was like. Not how I say pedigree. I use that word terribly wrong all the time. What I really want to see is just how did he do coming up. So, I mean, coming up in the minors, he was a relatively high strikeout guy. Now, honestly, his numbers in the minors really weren't bad. Now, he hasn't played a whole ton of higher level shit. 2019, he played AAA for the first time. Did have a high walk rate, gave up a lot of homers, and a 4.82 xFIP. So there was like an adjustment period that I'm sure he needed to make. But coming up from AA in that same season, 6 starts in AA, strikeout rate was consistently high. Did give up homers, but his xFIP was 2.85, comparable to 4.82 when he went to AAA. So I actually think maybe there is some upside to be had with this dude pitching at home in Atlanta. Sandy Alcantara, I think, is a legit pitcher. He's got a really good park working with against the Giants, who, I mean, as much as it pains me to say, just apparently just aren't that great of an offense, man. It's disastrous. Let's see. Problem is the Giants don't strike out all that much. I mean, they can. They got some guys. If they play like Slater righty on righty, massive strikeout rates. Yastrzemski, as good as he's been, does strike out. I'm an Alcantara guy. I do like Alcantara. Let's see. 7,400 seems like a fairly fair price for the good part. Fairly fair is how I use that. Let's see what he's done pitch count wise. Okay, he's up. So 83 pitches against Tampa, 93 against St. Louis, 90 against Atlanta, 92 against San Francisco. So he just played San Francisco 1 for 16, gave up 4 earned runs against them. He's given up 2, 3, and 4 earned runs. That number's going higher and higher. That's a little scary. But I still think that we can look for him to bounce back. He's at home. He's on the road, but he's in a really good pitching park still, one of the best in the game. I'm actually fine with Alcantara. I'm actually fine with him. Let's see. He does struggle more with lefties. That's a little concerning because the Giants are going to throw some lefties at him. You expect to see Brandon Belt, Dickerson, Crawford, LaStella. But I think at 7-4, again, I'm just trying to look for those cheaper pitchers that we feel like we can consider. And maybe we have one. Dane Dooning. Let's look at Mr. Dane Dooning. Okay, so he played for the White Sox. He was supposed to be like, people thought he was going to be pretty good and all this. Next thing you know, he's popping up on the Rangers. So I still don't know the backstory of how that happened. If you're into those organizations, let me know. But I think this kid's pretty good. The park is not great. A little revenge action for him. But he himself has showed some really strong numbers. Let's see. How many lefties is he going to see? 1, 2, 3. Probably going to see about 3 lefties. His numbers have been a little better to righties, worded that way. But from an ISO and WOBA perspective, he's been solid. 221 WOBA to righties, 279 to lefties, a .094 ISO to righties, 0.121 to lefties, 28% strikeout rate compared to 21.8. That's where things start to get a little bit more extreme, right? And then the ground ball rate, 56.9 to righties, 34 to lefties. So it matters, like the splits, right? And if he's going to see mostly right-handed hitters, you got to think that's a good thing for him. I think Dooning is a very viable cheap pitcher. Now, the park isn't great. He's playing an opponent that can certainly strike out with the best of them, but they got some power. They definitely got pop. This is not the same White Sox team from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. Like this team get hit. But 7,300 on DraftKings, I think that's a little too cheap, my friend. For me, today, the place. I like Dane Dooning. Kukuch. The Kukuch is loose. Did anybody see this like a thing with Kikuchi? They put like what is it? Somebody had it on their jersey and it said like Kikuchi, but they spelled it like Coochie. And I think somebody said like for Shed Long, it was just like S.long and it meant Schlong. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyways, let's look at Kikuchi. The Kikuchi. Where is he? So I'm playing in Boston today, huh? Rolling with the big dogs. Boston was pretty popular last night. Didn't do all that well, all that great. Boston's got Kike, JD, Bogarts, Renfroe. They should be pretty good against lefties. They should. Kikuchi's another one that I have a difficult time getting right. Right, this isn't a great park for it, but this is a pretty good price relative to the upside. I'm not as afraid of the Red Sox as like I have been. Like a couple of years ago, I think last year we kind of really saw that they're a flawed team and they're not perfect. And giving up guys like Mookie Betts and all this, it makes a difference. So I don't want to rule Kikuchi out completely, but I'm not like drooling to play him either. I'm not dying to pick on the Red Sox. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's keep it moving. Alex Wood against Miami. Alex Wood just played Miami and he pitched well. I think. Let me verify that before I go blabbering. You know what I'm saying? Blabber City. Where we at, bro? Come on now. Oh, elbow pain. Okay. Yeah, Alex Wood, that was his first start. He only threw 61 pitches. He only threw 61 fucking pitches, and he struck out 4 hitters, went 5 innings, 8 ground balls, 1 fly ball, went for 21 and a half, 61 pitches. So I'm not interested. I don't know. 61 pitches. For him to do that again, to be that efficient, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure how much I'm looking to pitch him. Let's take a look and see what happened. Because Miami won us a lot of money earlier this year against the lefty. This is a team that can hit lefties. What do we see here? Alex Wood does give up a lot of hard contact. Let's take a look at the profile itself. He's throwing sinkers and curveballs and changeups. We don't really have a big enough sample. I don't know. Part of me thinks that Miami could be interesting. And the other part of it is, in the back of your mind, knowing all the stud pitchers we have, if you do want to do a build where you're paying up for 2 pitchers, you're going to need a cheap stack to help get you there. It's just part of the things I'm thinking about at the moment. And let me see where their price is at. And Miami is cheap, man. Aguilar at 3,400 on DraftKings. Rojas is 4.3. They brought his price up. Birdie's only 2.9. He's been terrible. I recognize that. 3.9 for Duval, who's actually having a really good season. The problem is, it looks like maybe they might be missing some people. Garrett Cooper's questionable. They could be without Brian Anderson. I don't know. I don't feel great about all that. Depending on the lineup we see, it could make Wood a little bit more enticing. And on the flip side of that, going back to Alcantara, it looks like Crawford's questionable, Brandon Belt's questionable, and Gorga's questionable. We could see a watered-down lineup from them as well. That's a game we want to pay attention to and adjust our pitching exposures accordingly. Fetty Wap, Eric Fetty, another one that just trolls the shit out of my life. Playing my Mets today. Has a chance to double troll me. DFS in real life. Fetty, man, 9 Ks, 5 innings against Arizona. Is inexplicable. Against St. Louis, 5 Ks, 4.2 innings. Maybe he's just a different pitcher. This is, mind you, this is all after his first start of the season. He gave up 5 earned runs to the Braves. Had 1 K through 1 1/3. Got blasted. Did 2 really good starts back to back. He's playing my Mets, who, quite frankly, have struggled offensively to start the season. Getting a good park, right? Last year, dude had a 5.22 xFIP, very low BABIP, 233, telling us he got a little lucky, right? What do we make of this guy? I'm going to attack him. I'm going to continue to attack him. I just don't think he's good. And he's escaped. He's gotten away with a few things, but I'm going to continue to attack this. I think the Mets offense is definitely in play. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking do it. Mike Minor against Detroit. This slate is just so damn big, man. Mike Minor has not looked so great since leaving Texas. Not that he looked elite or anything like that when he was on Texas, but he definitely has, not looked very good. Where the fuck is this damn game at? Oh, of course. So, Mike Minor, 5.53 ERA last year, 4.5 xFIP. Did have a 25.9% K rate. That is pretty high for the price. Fly ball guy, we know that. Hard contact guy, we know that. Playing Detroit. Detroit is a team that, I don't know, I just have it in my head that they're good against lefties. When I look at their numbers, last year they really were not that good against lefties, at least this projected lineup. The problem with Detroit is they also don't strike out as much as people think, or at least the strikeouts don't come as easy. Candelaria, 19.6%. Ramos, 18.3%. Castro right on the cusp at 20.5%. Victor Reyes, 16%. So I think that's the issue. Mike Minor is capable of getting strikeouts. He gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact. Detroit's park, when it's not like hot and humid, is a decent pitching park, as we can see dimensionally. And last year, Detroit did strike out a lot. The issue is, of course, this year, the roster that they have put together. The averages aren't that big. If we look at what they've done this year, they've struck out a ton against lefties, but the samples are so small, it's hard to make that judgment. I think Mike Minor's on the table. Long story short. Just because the price. Like at 6'9", he could really help you out. Let's take a look and see if there's game logs, if there's any pitching limitations or anything like that we should be mindful of. No, he's throwing pitches. He's been terrible. So against the Texas Rangers, 6 Ks, but 4 earned runs. Against the White Sox, 3 Ks, only 1 earned run. So what happened? 1 earned run, 3 Ks, only went 4 innings. Just 99 pitches against Toronto, 2 home runs. That game was at home at Kansas City too. 4 earned runs total, only 3 Ks. So he hasn't looked so great, right? But hey, maybe a little get right, maybe a little bounce back spot. Strikeout rate is down right now, 17.6. Swinging strike rate is down 10.8. There's some holes here, but he's cheap. Martin Perez against Seattle. Oh man, we're just full of the trolls today, man. There's so many of these guys that I've tried to attack unsuccessfully throughout the course of my DFS career. Let's take a look at the numbers from last year, something more comparable. Seattle did strike out a lot against lefties last year. Martin Perez, not a big strikeout guy, 17.6%, 8.2% swing and strike rate, but Seattle did strike out a lot last year. Seattle was not very good against lefties last year. Doesn't really make sense. You got Mitch Haniger, France, Kyle Lewis. I think they're a team that has potential to be pretty good against lefties. But at the moment, as they're figuring things out, they have not been. I'm just not a big Martin Perez dude. I'm just not. No matter how cheap he is, I just very seldom look his direction. That's on a small slate I probably would, but on a big ass slate like this, I just can't really justify it. Just can't do it. Can't do it. Kwang Hyun Kim, 217 BABIP last year, a 1.62 ERA, but a 4.5 xFIP, 5 Sierra, doesn't strike people out. Playing a tough Cincinnati offense. Has he pitched at all this year? This guy. 3 innings against Philly, 68 pitches, 4 Ks, 3 earned runs. Philly can be very tough on lefties, though, to be straight about it. St. Louis and Cincinnati, we've got... okay, so looking at Cincinnati, we've got Castellanos, obviously, was good against lefties. Suarez, really good against lefties. Votto was not good against lefties at all last year. Senzel had a really terrible down year. He did not do well against lefties either. I mean, when I look at this guy, it's just do I want to stack against him? And I don't know, there's something about it that makes me a little uneasy. If this game was in Cincinnati, it'd probably be a no-brainer for me. But the fact that it's on the road in St. Louis, I don't know. I'm not that interested. You know what I mean? Solid Pick says, don't be scared to play the Mariners. They are heating up. Tony A's always got me, man. Tony A, they traded Dooning in a trade to get Lance Lynn. There you go. Okay. I knew they had to give something up good to get Lance Lynn. I like that. Tony also likes Dooning. I'm with it. Solid Picks, don't be scared to play Mariners. Yeah, the Mariners are heating up. They are. And Martin Perez, man, that motherfucker's just a troll, man. I just don't think he's any good, but what do I know? Dylan Ceesay against the Rangers. This is an interesting one, right? This is a huge park boost for the Rangers. Rangers have not been as bad as they have been, as they were last year, right? By no means am I trying to say that they're good, but they have not been nearly as bad. They're playing a pitcher that struggles to get strikeouts. 17.3% last year. A pitcher that was very lucky last year. 238 BABIP, 401 ERA. 5.87 xFIP, 5.86 Sierra. I actually think I like the Rangers. What are their prices? I mean, they're relatively cheap. Yeah, Willie Calhoun's 2.8. They got guys that could really help you. Willie Calhoun's 2.8. David Dahl's 3.4. Joey Gallo's been terrible, but he's only 4,200. That's for his upside, not bad. This could work. I think I have interest in the Rangers here against Ceesay. I really do. And I already talked about liking Dooning. It's a nice, interesting little pairing that would allow me to get some pretty good one-offs in between and a good quality ace to pair with him if I wanted to. I think I like the Rangers at some what I think will be some low ownership. Andrew Heaney against Houston. Wow, Heaney's only 6,500. This dude's got a ton of strikeout upside. The problem is Houston's really tough to strike out. They really are. And going into it, I kind of bit into the whole Coors effect hype. Our boy Patio Joe, it's been something he's preached, and thought I'd try to get a little cute on a slate that didn't require it. But Houston, in all seriousness, is very tough to strike out. And the problem with Heaney is he gives up so many fly balls and hard contact. This is a tough combination. So 25% K rate is promising, but I don't think his command is good enough to really, and you can see, like Houston last year, on this slate, Houston was the toughest team to strike out. So he's from a price perspective as an SP2 on DraftKings, I understand it. I just don't know how much I'm willing to get of that. I'll scroll this up so you guys can see it. Casey Mize against Kansas City, good park for him. This is another kid that I thought was supposed to be a decent prospect. I've really not been impressed with what I've seen from him. Where are we at here? 6,400 on DraftKings. Had a good game against Houston. 7 innings, 5 Ks. But you can see he struggled against Oakland. 5 earned runs, gave up 3 homers. Now he is playing Kansas City. I think that could kind of help a little bit. But, you don't know what you're going to get. Is it worth saving the money? Like, the more I look at these options, I don't feel great about. I like Alcantara. There's a lot of guys I do like, genuinely Dooning. But the more that I feel like I want to emphasize the pitching today. right? Because you got all these fucking. I mean, I don't know. I just don't like these guys. J.A. Happ against Pittsburgh. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Like, matchup is good. It's Pittsburgh, right? They're not great, but it's J.A. Happ. But Pittsburgh did struggle against lefties last year. They did strike out a lot against lefties last year. That was something we attacked early and often. It comes down to strikeout upside. Happ doesn't have a ton of it. Has Happ played? How has Happ looked so far? He's had 2 starts, 89 and 87 pitches, got his pitch count worked out, played Detroit, played Boston, 4 Ks, 3 Ks, 2 earned runs. I mean, he hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't really been good either. I do think 6,300 is a pretty good price, especially for the matchup. I'm just not a big J.A. Happ guy. This Cole Irvin guy, talk about trolling, man. This Cole Irvin guy is, he got me good the other day, I think, right? That was against Detroit? Yeah, okay. So he played, now granted, his first 2 starts were against Houston. I should have known, right? Like, maybe he has more strikeout upside than he's shown. I should have known. So I'm a fish for that one. But I did check his priors, and he's not like that. He's not a big strikeout guy in general. He never has been. But he played Detroit, went 6 innings, 6 Ks. Not bad. Granted, that is Detroit. Today he plays Oakland at home in Baltimore. How do you not love the Oakland bats today? I mean, how do you not love the Oakland bats today? Big park boost for Oakland. I'm sorry. He's on Oakland. I meant, how do you not like the Baltimore bats today? Right? How do you not? I think Baltimore is better than Detroit. The park is definitely better. Got that all flipped up. Trey Mancini, Maikel Franco, Pedro Severino. Are these names that you love? No, let's be honest. But I'm interested. In any game in Baltimore, pretty much, especially when you have a pitcher who normally is not a big strikeout guy, and Cole Irvin is not normally a big strikeout guy. So I'll be taking some shots with Baltimore, and that's that. German Marquez against Philly. Man, so let's see something real quick. German Marquez against Philly. Marquez's most recent game was against my Mets. It was in Coors. He went 7 innings, 6 Ks, went for 27. He played San Francisco, and San Francisco went for 15. At home against Arizona, gave up 3 earned runs, still went for 13. First game of the season was against the Dodgers. Only 1 earned run, only 2 strikeouts, so his score sucked. But I'm just not that into Coors, and I'm wondering what the ownership's going to look like. But I'm just not that into I don't know. I'm just not that into Philly. I think Marquez is kind of interesting on DraftKings at 6,100. Philly, in certain spots, we've seen them strike out. Now, maybe I'm going too far. Maybe going underweight on Coors is enough. And I do believe what I said, that we have other pitchers that I can consider. And his strikeout upside has been down. But Philly can strike out with the best of them, man. They really can. Especially if you look at their projected lineup. It's a real low price for a good pitcher. For at least a decent pitcher. Maybe he's not as good as he was a couple years ago. Jorge Lopez. This is the spot I was waiting for. Love the A's today against Mr. Jorge Lopez. Big part boost for Oakland. Playing over in Baltimore. You got a guy that has a 4.89 xFIP last year, 4.84 Sierra, only a 16% K rate. Matt Olson's looking good. Jed Lowry's been awesome in his return. We're probably going to see Mitch Moreland, Seth Brown on the cheap. They're not super cheap, but they have some super cheap players, right? You got Piscotty, who's 2.29. Mitch Moreland, assuming he's in there against the righty, is only 3.1. So the main guys, like even Jed Lowry, is no longer cash game porn. 4,800 is not cash game porn. It's just expensive. Matt Olson's 5K. But Mark Canha's 4.3. I like him. How do you not like Oakland? There's too many good spots on the slate for me to just go to Coors and just want to load up on that. There's just too many other good spots. Now, maybe that's the mentality people have. I always say, like, ownership has a lot to do with a lot of this. I want to keep that in mind. For sure. But I love the Ace. Vince Velasquez against in Coors. Let's take a look at some stuff. All right, Vince Velasquez. We've got Oh, man. This guy's got a lot of strikeout upside. He pitched a lot out of the bullpen last year. Ironically, this is a guy that's always struggled with lefties. Ironically, last year, he had a bigger issue with righties. Way higher fly ball rates. Way higher distance given up. Average exit velocity. Rocky struck out with the best of in Coors. Now, Velasquez, I'm not pitching because he hasn't thrown more than 63 pitches. So what this really comes down to is how effective, if you look at the Rockies side, can they get to him and then can they get to the bullpen? 64 pitches was the most we saw from Velasquez. It came against St. Louis. I wouldn't think he would throw more than 70, 75 today. So what bullpen are we going to see? Again, I think the Rockies and Phillies are fine, and I expect there to be runs in that game. But I think that we have some pretty good situations elsewhere, like Oakland that we talked about. Talked about the Yankees. I think they're interesting. But there's a lot of good hitting parks on this. I like the Rangers. I think we can get some really low-owned stacks. It doesn't have to be leverage shit. But I think I don't really use leverage much on a slate this big. I don't think you have to. But there's a lot of options to consider. Joey Gallo does look broken. That is true. Yes. Solid pick says he thinks he's going glass now on FanDuel. I respect it. I don't got an issue with it. On DraftKings, though, listen, there's some guys, right? We talked about Dooning, talked about Alcantara. I think that, those guys are fine. But I think that I also like the idea of getting two aces and going at it. I got a lot of teams today. I put a few different contests, like 300-something teams. I think 320 teams to be exact. So I'm going to try to spread around a little bit with the offenses. But I'm not going to go too heavy on cores. It's just, number one, that's just not really what we do a ton here. And number two, it's just too big of a slate. There's too many other options. Anyway, Nation, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Please hit the like button on your way out. It really helps us out. Again, we're going to finish out the show. This is the last show of the week, starting next week, Sunday night. We will be doing these the night before. Going to try to do some things to enhance, hoping to get more participation from the nation and incorporate you guys as much as possible. And, try to really build this up and have a great baseball year with y'all. I want to try to make this the best DFS show on YouTube for baseball. So hit the like button on your way out. Please subscribe, share the show. We're going to be trying something different on Sunday night. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.